Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swanti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Shunyavadi Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. I guess you can hear me okay. Otherwise, I would hear some complaints. They can't hear me, so everything seems to be working. So let me share the Bhagavad Gita. And we're on finishing properly today, 10th chapter, the opulence of the absolute, Vibhuti Yoga. And we're on text 39, where we're beginning today. There's a total of 42 slokas in this chapter, and they're relatively short purports. So we're probably moving on to chapter 11 today. Okay, so let me share the Bhagavad Gita I have here ready to go. Okay, so there you have Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Okay, Madhu Mangopu, you have your hand raised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's dive in, see what jewels we can find in the great ocean of devotion, the great ocean of devotional service that is Krishna's conversation with Arjuna. Lots of gems and lots to be found. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 39. Yachkapi sarva bhutanam bijam tataham Arjuna natad ashti vinaya yatshan maya bhutam characharam. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me.
Without me, yes.
Everything, translation, purport. Everything has a cause, and that cause or seed of manifestation is Krishna. Without Krishna's energy, nothing can exist. Therefore, he is called omnipotent. Without his potency, neither the movable nor the immovable can exist. Whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna is called Maya, that which is not.
Okay.
Thank you.
That which is not. This is coming from Chatur Sloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, it sounds a bit strange, but what this means is that Maya doesn't actually exist. What? It certainly seems to exist to us. But it's an illusory concept. To see the world not in this light as being described in this verse, to see the world not connected to Krishna, to see things as separate from Krishna, to consider ourselves to be separated from Krishna in the organic sense, that's illusion, that's Maya, because everything is connected to Krishna. Yeah, everything is coming from Krishna. He's the original seed. So to have a vision that's separate from that, that's called Maya. That's why it said Krishna, existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna. It's called Maya, that which is not, because everything is situated within Krishna and is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. So in that sense, Maya does not exist in that sense. It exists in the sense of the external energy which distracts the jiva, but that distraction is because the jiva doesn't connect the dots, doesn't connect the world or themselves to Krishna. So you're in Maya. You are in illusion because you're not seeing Krishna. Okay. He says here, nothing moving or non-moving. So that kind of covers everything. Things either move or they don't move. So Krishna is the source of both. So there's nothing in between that. So he's got it all covered there. All right. And has anyone ever ruminated, or everyone ruminated or wondered when you pick up a seed, or you see a tree and it comes from a seed, and that seed comes from a tree, which comes from a seed, which comes from a tree, which comes from a seed, which comes from etc., etc. Where does it all begin? What's the original germinating principle?
Yeah, I just want to see.
Okay. So that's been described here. This has been described. Yeah. We have our father, we have our mother, but they have their father and they have their mother. Simple point. So they have their mother, they have their father, they have their mother, they have their father, they have their mother, they have their father. Yeah. But it's not a infinite regress. God is the origin of everything. So it's not like, and there is no cause to God. He is causeless. Right. So quite nice to meditate upon. Did anyone get a chance to? I don't know if Chandravali shared that. Last week we spoke about the Samaveda. I mean, if Krishna says of the Vedas, I am the Brihat Sama. Did Chandravali share? I mean, I shared it with Madhu Mongol. Did Chandravali share that with any of you?
Yeah, she put it on our WhatsApp group.
All right. Did anyone get a chance to listen to it?
I listened to like just a little tiny bit at the beginning.
Okay. And you thought that's enough of that.
Yeah, yeah. It was very Sanskrity, and it was like, those chanting of mantras that you really don't understand, and like for me, I like bhajans. Like for this, Sanskrit chanting is a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit out there. Yeah, I understand.
Take.
Yeah. But it's if anyone does listen to it, or you did listen to it, it's basically it's the devas who are glorifying, it's Vayu, also Brahma, who are glorifying the creation and glorifying Vishnu. You might listen to it. I mean, I listened to the whole half an hour of it, even though I don't understand the Sanskrit. I thought it was beautiful. And I was listening to it just now before we opened up today. Gave me a great sense of the grandeur and opulence of Krishna. Yeah. But one point I mentioned, without going too much off, I will mention going too much off the track. If you listen to it, I might spark your interest to listen to it, that Brihat Sama, because it very much reminded me, mosques at certain times in a day, they're chanting prayers to Allah from the top of the mosque, Yeah, you can hear it in Mayapur a lot when you go to Mayapur. So they are chanting those prayers in the meter of Samaveda. So as you know, worship of Vishnu and the Vedas predate Islam by hundreds, thousands of years. So for me, it's quite obvious where they got that mode of chanting from. It's from the Brahmins who are chanting Samaveda. It's a side point, but Hare Krishna. So any quick comments or questions here? Yeah, so just next time. Yeah, go on.
I have a question you asked. You said there is no Maya. You started off, I didn't understand.
intriguing statement.
Yeah, because there is Maya, and we choose to be, or if we are not in thinking about Krishna or in aligned to Krishna's will, then it is Maya. That's my understanding. So you mentioned that there is no Maya, and I just wanted to know, I just understand that a bit more where there is no Maya.
Yeah, I think you might have just joined us about a minute or two. Yeah, I was playing with words a bit here. Playing with words, because actually everything, in the sense that everything is connected to and manifest from and sustained by Krishna. So to see anything separate from Krishna, just repeating again, to see ourselves as separate from Krishna, to see the world as separate from Krishna, that's called Maya. But actually, because everything is connected to Krishna, and because Krishna is situated everywhere, there isn't, in that sense, Maya. Maya is a manifestation of illusion within the jiva. For instance, you could say, for a pure devotee who sees Krishna everywhere, for Uttam Bhakta, they see Krishna everywhere, so there's no Maya. So if you see something and you don't understand its connection, or you don't connect it to God, and you try and use it for your own purposes, enjoy it for your own purposes, then that's Maya. That's why it said here, whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna. So there is no existence that's not founded on the energy of Krishna.
I see where you're coming from now.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. So everything is founded on the energy of Krishna.
There is no Maya because everything is part and parcel of Krishna. So in that there is no Maya. But then for those who choose not to think about him, then there is Maya.
Yeah, so he's in one sense playing around with the term, that which is not.
Yeah.
So to see something means you're not seeing reality. You're seeing something as separate from Krishna. So that's Maya, because nothing is separate from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. You're Prabhu. Maya, you're an illusion. Yeah. So okay. So closing up this chapter, let's move on. Let's perhaps read text 40. I think it's another short purple. Someone would like to read text 40.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, shall I read?
Please, yeah.
Okay, text 40. Nantusti mama divyanam vibhutanam paranatapa esha tudashta prokto vibhuti vistaro maya. Almighty conqueror of enemies, there's no end to my divine manifestations. What I've spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. As stated in the Vedic literature, although the opulences and energies of the Supreme are understood in various ways, there's no limit to such opulences. Therefore, not all the opulences and energies can be explained. Simply a few examples are being described to Arjuna to pacify his inquisitiveness.
Inquisitiveness, yeah. So now Krishna's given a summary of this chapter now. It's like summary. Yeah, there's no end. Basically what he's said, there's no end, and the next verse carries on in the same vein. It's to give you a mere indication. Yeah, a mere indication. To be exact, there was 82 opulences were mentioned in this chapter. So that's not many. That's less than a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. Yeah. And also I was reading that there's also more opulences are manifesting. Newer and newer opulences are forever manifesting inner divinity that is Krishna and the spiritual realm. Yeah. So it's has an inconceivable nature. So it's all coming from the word for spark here is coming. No, that's in the next verse, excuse me. It's the word spark comes in the next verse. Yeah. So there's no end to Krishna's divine manifestations. Yeah. Is there a beginning? No, it's endless. It's beyond time. Yeah. I guess if Krishna had was speaking about all his opulences, then he would still be speaking to Arjuna now on the battlefield. 5,000 years later, he would still be describing his opulences. Yeah. What's a nice example that's often given? There's a certain manifestation of Krishna which is chanting his glories and never comes to the end.
Is it the Brahma Samhita?
Yeah, Brahma Samhita, but I'm thinking of there's a specific divine personality.
Anant Shesh.
Yeah, Ananta Shesh, who has thousands of hoods. And with each of those mouths in those thousands of hoods, apparently he's glorifying the Lord. These are cosmic beings or cosmic manifestations which are beyond our fly-like understanding, you know. Just it described that the universes are resting on the seeds of Ananta Shesh, just like a mustard seed. And it's not poetry, it's actual reality. So how small are we in compared to Ananta Shesh? Oh, we hardly have, I mean, how significant. But in one sense, all jivas are very significant when they render loving devotional service to Krishna. They become very significant and play a part in Krishna's rasa of enjoyment. Yeah. Then we have meaning. Otherwise, we have absolutely no, life has no meaning. It's futile. Yeah. What example does Prabhupada give to illustrate that? An example of a machine. And the
A
parts
screw can function without the machine.
Yeah.
If there is even one part missing, a screw missing.
Yeah, and that screw has no function. It's just sitting there on the floor. Yeah. But once it gets connected up again, then it's worth something. Yeah. So and until that point we come to rendering loving devotional service to Krishna, our existence is, one sense, pointless, sad and pointless. Yeah. Has no ultimate purpose of anything of any significance. Yeah. So what I have spoken to you is a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Baba Chandravali's arrived. Did you listen to the Brihat Sama that I said?
No, I haven't yet. I send it to everybody, but I haven't had time to hear that.
Perhaps it's me who's quite attracted to that type of thing.
Very powerful.
Like,
Very powerful.
yeah.
I should watch it. I'm not getting deviated from the path of Raj Bhakti. Not getting overwhelmed by Krishna's grandeur and opulences of Vishnu.
Mm.
Okay, so Krishna gave 82 examples. So that's a mere indication of his infinite, which means infinite means it's infinite. There is no end. No end. All right, someone like to read text 41? And then
Yes, I can read.
Please, yeah.
Text 41. Yad yad vibhutimad sattvam srimad urjitam evava tata devat gachitvam mama tejo masa sambhavam Sorry, just translation. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or material world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence.
Okay. So now, idam shavam, whatever has not been mentioned, please, now we should understand that it's being mentioned. Yeah. Like there's a part of worship of the deity. After you finish the worship, you offer idam shavam in the form of flower petals. That means if anything's missing, please let it now be complete. Shavam. So here, know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring but a spark of my splendor. Amsa. Yeah. Anything extraordinary. I think we mentioned last week, isn't it? So we gave some examples of anyone who excels in anything. That excelling is Krishna. Yeah. That excelling is Krishna. I think Mahalavanga, you asked a question about how is Sukacharya was mentioned as representing Krishna. So an interesting example that was given, because he's not celebrated as a great devotee, but because he was an expert politician and was very far-sighted. So that Shakti represents Krishna. So anything extraordinary, opulent, should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. Yeah. Let me just see, yeah. And here, everything opulent, beautiful, glorious, and strong. Yes, so anything beautiful, glorious, and strong is simply a part of Krishna's splendor. Now he's going to make one more point to complete this chapter. Yeah, I think the purport's a little bit more longer. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Then let's go then to text 42, and anyone like to read text 42? So just keep in mind, well, it's going to come up obviously, but just keep in mind the next chapter, Arjuna is going to ask to see this factually. So that's chapter 11, which is Vishwarupa Darshan, the universal form. Any readers out there?
Shall I give it a go?
Yes.
Mm.
Give it a go.
Tattva bahu netena kim gyantena tav Arjuna vistabhayaham idam krishnam ekam shena sito jagat. Translation. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universe by his entering into all things as a supersoul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there is no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. He should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as supersoul. From Brahma, the most gigantic entity, on down to the smallest end, all are existing because the Lord has entered each and all and is sustaining them. There is a mission that regularly propounds that worship of any demigods will lead one to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. or the supreme goal. But worship of demigod is thoroughly discouraged herein, because even the greatest demigod like Brahma and Shiva represent only part of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. He is the origin of everyone born, and no one is greater than him. He is a Samudava, which means that no one is superior to him, and that no one equal to him. In the Padma Purana, it is said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the same category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. If, however, one thoroughly studies the different descriptions of the opulence and expansions of Krishna's energy, then one can understand without any doubt the position of Lord Sri Krishna, and can fix his mind in the worship of Krishna without deviation. The Lord is all-pervading by the expansion of his partial representation, the Super Soul, who enters into everything that is. Pure devotees therefore concentrate their minds in Krishna consciousness in full devotional service. Therefore, they are always situated in the transcendental position. Devotional service and worship of Krishna are very clearly indicated in this chapter in verses 8 through 11. That is the way of pure devotional service. How one can attain the highest devotional perfection of association with the Supreme Person of Godhead has been thoroughly explained in this chapter. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great acharya in disciplic succession from Krishna, concludes his commentary on this chapter by saying, what, another slok? Yat Lesat Suryadya Bhavanti Ati Ugra Tejasa Yat Amsena Dritam Vishwam Sa Krishna Dasam. From Lord Krishna's point, energy, even the power.
Lord Krishna, potent energy.
Yeah, from Lord Krishna's potency, potent energy, even the powerful sun gets its power. And by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is worshipable.
Yeah. Okay. So therefore, Lord Krishna is worshipable. One says, who would not offer worship and praise after hearing this, understanding Krishna's opulences? Yeah. Except the atheistic person. Yeah. Any questions or comments here on this? This is the final verse of chapter 10. So when it mentions, I pervade and support the entire universe, this single fragment, that's the super soul. Okay? Who's entered into all jivas. He's maintained by that way, in this way, the whole universal system is maintained. And you see here, in the Padma Purana, it said that one who considers the Supreme Lord Krishna in the category with demigods, be they even Brahma or Shiva, becomes at once an atheist. Okay. So atheist means, in one sense, it means they don't believe there are no demigods, that there is no God. So it's such even so if someone's somewhat accustomed to the Vedas and they have some understanding of demigods, and they dare to put Vishnu on the same platform, they're considered a Basandi. They're considered atheists. Now, atheist is quite a strong, from the Vedic perspective, to call someone atheist is quite an insult. Yeah, that means that person's what do you call it? Muslims call infidel. You know, what do Christians call them heathens? Muslims calls them infidels. In the Vedas, they call someone, yeah, it's quite strong words, heathens, infidels. So to consider Krishna or Brahma to be equal, or Shiva, it's actually an offense. So what's that offense to the holy name? To consider
the demigods, Lord Brahma and Lord
to-
Shiva, equal to
Independent of Lord Vishnu.
Yeah, to be equal to or independent of. So that's an offense. One is offending Krishna to have that philosophical conception. Yeah, it's an offense. So there is no second to Krishna. Yeah, he is above. Yeah.
You know, a lot of gurus come and claim themselves to be Bhagavan, and and a lot of people go behind them.
Yeah. Difficult for us to conceive how or why.
True.
Yeah. In one sense, you could say that's their innocence or stupidity. You could choose which term to call it. Innocence. But hopefully our ISKCON society is kind of helping to stop that. Of course, it still goes on. In other words, people are being educated by reading Prabhupada's books. What is the real position? So for someone to claim to be God is, but often when they claim, there's different types of misconceptions. There's some persons will claim literally to be God, from which everything is coming, and they are the owners and controllers of everything. So that person is clinically insane.
Can I say something quick?
Yeah.
I think people, they're mesmerized when they see someone producing something, like there are different gurus which can materialize things without having knowledge, that actually maybe they obtain some CDs, and they are blind because they don't realize that that's not God creating some gold or some jewelry, or
Yeah.
but people think because they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because they don't have knowledge, they're in ignorance. Because there's a whole, even the Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about mystic powers, and it gives you a meditation for attaining different mystic powers. If anyone's interested in getting some mystic powers out there, there's a whole section in the Bhagavatam which describes how to do it. Yeah.
But they don't read Bhagavatam, they do gymnastics, so that's different.
But that's why people are not so, not so educated, so they're easily befooled. Yeah, and we have that story of Bishop Shane in the story of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, wasn't it? One person claiming to be Vishnu, who's come to do away with the British. Yeah. And he wanted to do away with Jagannath as well. And it's a wonderful, exciting story. Make a great film. But yes, Marvel Sudami Radhika, it is interesting. In the West, persons who claim to be God, they will be sectioned. If they're seriously claiming to be God and acting like they're God, there's a good chance they'll be sectioned by the local authority, which means they will be put into a they will be put into a place where their mental state will be observed, and they will be given medication. Without criticizing the Indian the Indian people, I guess it's to their credit actually, because they accept, they're quite simple and innocent. But in India, such persons are worshipped sometimes, rather than being sectioned. So I'm speaking about persons who are actually claiming to be the Godhead from which everything comes. I actually met someone like that. I was distributing books, because many years ago I was in Leicester Square, and one man came to me and he told me quite strongly that he is God and he owns Leicester Square and I should move.
Did you not tell him you're distributing some books, so maybe he can give you a big donation if it's God?
Yeah. Anyway, I said to him, I was a bit passionate. I should have just walked away because he was a crazy person. And I said to him, well, okay, so I'm not accepting that you are God. So now what are you going to do now? So then he started to attack me. So then he started to attack me, you know. And eventually he was telling quite a few people in Leicester Square the same thing. And if they didn't agree with him, then he would attack them. And about 10 minutes later, a police van came with its blue lights and came and put him in the back of the van.
And pick up Godhead.
Yeah. So unfortunately, especially in the 60s, when there was a lot of unfortunately persons proclaiming and saying their God would go over and before people, even easily done, you know, in the West. But then you got persons who claim that you're God, we are God, everything is God. So they're not claiming to be the Godhead from which everything comes exactly. These are Mayavadis, yeah. Anyway, yes, so such delusions are there. Hare Krishna.
Well, I think when people get a little bit of power or some kind of mystical things and don't have knowledge, they think that's it. I'm God now.
Yeah.
That's it. We are.
Yeah. But also it can be quite subtle as well. Persons may not identify themselves as God, but the way they act and think, they are acting and thinking like they are God. You know, it's very subtle.
Or is it that the people make them as well? When they see some, mystic something, then
Mr.
they
Brown,
kind of think, it could, maybe the person doesn't claim, but the people make them so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also there as well, you know.
A lot of blind worship, and as a consequence, anybody, even a cinema star, pop star, can become God. And it's the people that makes them out of them.
Yeah. And then also what happens then is that they start to believe it.
Yeah, that's it. Then they start to believe.
They start to believe it. And then that happens a lot. Actually, I know, with all due respect to his music, I've got nothing. Do you know Freddie Mercury? Apparently, he got into such a state of his delusion that because he was worshipped by so many hundreds of thousands of people, it was difficult no one could actually, in the end, none of his friends, none of his band members could actually speak to him. He was so deranged with delusions of grandeur. You know, it went to his head. You know, and it's easily done with the conditioned soul is worshipped by thousands of people. Because that's why we come here anyway, to be God. So some persons, especially when they are offered adulation and praise, that's why as devotees, if we do anything, we pray beforehand. If anything is accomplished, then we thank Krishna. We should always be conscious, lest we become unnecessarily proud and think we're God, or think we're God-like. Yeah. I've seen, there was one, sorry, I got some strange examples from my experience in the ashram, but there's one man who joined the ashram, and he thought he was just like Krishna. And I asked him, well, why do you think you're like Krishna? I don't know why we let him stay in the ashram. I don't know, but he said, because every lady in the ashram wants to marry me. He was under the illusion that every lady in the temple, guests as well, wanted to marry him.
He's not the one who paint himself blue.
No, I haven't heard that one. But anyway, he was We had to
Because
explain
there is
that
someone,
it's not the
there
case.
is someone at the temple who is coming sometimes to Sunday program, or you see him in Govindas, and he's all blue color.
Anyway, who's to know his motives? But the conditioned soul does get into quite some pickle, some delusions, you know, thinking who they are. So for us, you know, we're just reading this chapter, the 10th chapter, and when we consider like Sudhamani Radhika, she correctly brought out, she's correctly bringing out how, reflect on how is it, having heard this, that people can claim that they're God. Even
Can
there's
I say something?
yeah,
Sorry. You know why? Because on the planet, usually you are taught that you have only one life. And maybe knowing that you have only one life and you got so much power, only a God can have power so much.
yeah.
They don't know what's going to happen to their soul or where they're going to go.
Yeah. Also, there's one, I don't know if I mentioned it here before, but there was one, this was somewhere in London or America. Where Prabhupada was, oh no, perhaps it was in India. Oh, I don't know where it was actually, but Prabhupada was giving there was a program with hundreds of people there, hundreds of people. And one boy stood up, hippie boy, he stood up and said to Prabhupada loudly, "I am God." And Chandra's nodding the head, you heard it. "I am God." Everyone went quiet. And apparently Prabhupada really looked sad. Some say he had tears in his eyes, but I can't remember that dude. But Prabhupada looked really grave, and it all went quiet. And everyone's waiting for Prabhupada to respond. And the man said again, "I am God." Prabhupada leant close to the microphone. He said, "You are dog." And everyone cheered. The whole crowd went up. Oh, they all cheered and applauded. And Prabhupada said, "You are dog." As Prabhupada could do such a thing, his purity and his stature. I think the man sat down after that. All right. Anything else you want to bring out here?
Actually,
Sorry.
I actually feel so sad. We like, I know we're laughing or he thinks he's God.
Yeah.
But
It's sad, really.
I mean, even us, look, the state we are in yet, and we have a long way to go, and yet we think, I mean, I cooked, I did so well, oh yes, help this. We just think so much. For a little bit we do, we think we are so important.
Yeah.
It's
So
really sad, the condition others are, and we are in as well, you know?
yeah, that's a good reflective point. You know,
Yeah.
just like Prabhupada, I mean, he didn't laugh when this person said he was God.
Yes.
Prabhupada wasn't laughing. Prabhupada was feeling compassionate. You know?
People are like living, like any one of us, we could be living such a nice life, and all of a sudden something happens and turns your life upside down. So it's like, she did it, he did it, but it's so sad that these things happen, and we have to pray for them. And Prabhupada looked at billboards and he used to feel so sad. People walking, he used to be upset and cry in London, remember?
Yeah, Prabhupada was in the car and he was seeing people shopping, and Prabhupada had tears in his eyes, you know, out of compassion.
You walk past people lying on the streets, you feel like, what a state to be, and what can we do? Nothing, but to be in that situation is sad.
Yeah, because say this material world has, in one sense, it's a sad place. People in different delusions, as we just discussed, and completely ensnared by the illusory energy. Yeah. Now, unless there's any other questions or comments, we can enter into chapter 11.
Sorry, Prabhu. I just wanted to say that people just don't have definition of God. They don't know what his functions, what his duties, what this. For example, in the Bible, there is not. You read Bible, there are plenty of stories, but still we don't have clear picture. What does he look like? or
Yeah.
what his function, what he does. That's why people don't know these things, and they think anybody can become God.
Yeah.
So that's why they're looking for something they didn't lose, to be honest. They don't know. That's simple. And ISKCON is doing the best job it possible. It teach people to think, to raise questions, because if we don't have question, we cannot think, we don't know anything. And this is the best education program.
Yeah, that's a very good point you're making, Baba Jump. Yeah, very good point is that people don't have a reference point. Yeah, here we're getting quite, here in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, we're given a clear conception of what is God. Very clear. Even to the point of his form, his attributes, and his activity. So if that's not there, people can come up with all, even these are persons who kind of, persons come all types of speculations. Yeah, what is God? Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. So that leads to all types of misconceptions. Okay, so unless there's anything more on this chapter, we're going to chapter 11. It's just gone 1:45. So what we normally do, if you remember, I won't ask questions. There's just 3 questions here on chapter 10, but I just go straight into, remember we're going to read this, go back and read this called Song Divine. I can share my screen as I'm reading it. It's by Kalakanta Prabhu, and it's the 10th chapter in a poetic form. So I can read through it, and I share my screen so you can read it and see it. So this will give you a recap on the whole chapter that we've just gone through. Okay? So let me share my screen again. And then if we get time, we can read the Mahatmya, the glories of chapter 11 before we begin. Does that sound okay with all devotees?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you can see it here. You can see the text 1, Krishna.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I should get my some. 1 second. Let me see if I can pull this off quickly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, we have some. Here again, my dear Arjuna, O man of mighty arms, knowledge that surpasses all I've said to you thus far. My substance and origin remain a mystery to the gods and sages who themselves have come from me. I have no beginning, and I rule all things that be. Enlightened persons know this and become completely free. Learned people free from doubt, of clear, straightforward mind, self-controlled and honest people, tolerant and kind. Those rejoicing over birth or for whom death brings tears, peaceful, patient, fearless souls, or those beset with fears. Tranquil, sober, generous souls of fame or infamy, all display in a tribute supplied to them by me. 7 saintly sages and the Manus and Kumars I dispatch to populate the planets and the stars. One who knows my opulence and power without doubt links with me in service, always steady and devout. Worlds of flesh and spirit both originate with me. Sages understand this well and serve me earnestly. My devotees think of me and serve me all the time. Speaking of me makes their lives delightful and sublime. Those who serve their Lord with love and do so constantly gain the understanding by which they can come to me. Showing them compassion, I who dwell within their heart, shine the lamp of knowledge and release them from the dark. God of gods, Vyasadeva and many other sages stated what you say, and we confirmed it through the ages. You alone know yourself, for none can fathom you. Tell me with your pleasing words how I should think of you. Dear Arjuna, so no one knows my fame to full extent, I describe some features that I find most prominent. I am the supersoul, Arjuna, who dwells in every heart. I am the end of every living being, its middle and its start. I am holy Vishnu, and of every sort of light. I am the blazing sun of day, of stars, the moon at night. Of the demigods, I am the greatest you will find. Indra, Shiva, and Kuber. Of senses, I am the mind. Himalayan mountains are of solid things like me. I am the endless ocean, and of plants, the banyan tree. I am among all sounds, the sacrificial call of many holy names delights me most of all. I am Kandapa, god of love, like Cupid with his bow. I am the cow Suravi who gives milk in endless flow. I am the thunderbolt of weapons, king among all men. I am Yama, lord of death, who judges every sin. I am Prahlad, of demon born, defected from his line. I am the lion among beasts of victors, I am time. I am the Ganges, best among all rivers that flow by. I am the wind, the best among all things that purify. I am everything, Arjuna, of science I am proof. Soul exists beyond the flesh of logic, I am truth. I am in alphabets, the shark among the fish. I am Brahma, he who builds the world to suit my wish. I am death, the end of all. I am the sire of all that be. I am woman's patience, glory, speech, and memory. Of verses I am the Gayatri, of seasons I am spring. Of months I am November, time of peace and harvesting. I am gambling among fools that cheat the ill-intended. Victory, adventure, and the splendor of the splendid. I am wisdom of the wise and strength among the strong. I am the staff of punishment that checks the lawless throng. Life originates with me, of secrets I am silence. Among men who seek to win, I am the moral science. There's no end, Parantapa, to my manifestations. All that I have just declared is but an indication. Know that every opulent and glorious creation springs but from a spark of my resplendent situation. Dear Arjuna, why concern ourselves with many verses? Just a tiny part of me fills countless universes. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. Nice.
Very cool. Very nice.
It's a nice poem. So there's a poem for this for every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So what we do as we finish one chapter, we just read this and we can reflect back on what we've read. But it's very nice. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left. Let me just look how long the Mahatmya is for this chapter. 1 second. Yeah, 11. If not, we can perhaps just to start afresh tomorrow on just on chapter 11. Let's just see 1 second, scrolling down the whole chapter. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, okay. Gita Mahatmya, chapter 11. Okay, shall we read this tomorrow, or shall we just squeeze it in now? Who votes for reading the glories of chapter 11 today? Yeah. Okay, it's not so long. Okay, get us in the mood for chapter 11. Okay.
Yeah, maybe Ekadashi extra.
Yes, good point. Well done. Thank you. Yes, Ekadashi. Let's do more hearing and chanting. So Lord Shiva said, my dear Parvati, now would you like to see this as well as I'm reading, or shall I just read?
Either way, Prabhu.
Either way, okay. Be quicker just to read. Now I will relate to you the glories of the 11th. Oh, let me okay. Now I relate to you the glories of the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible to tell its full glories, as there are thousands of stories. I will relate one of them only. So Lord Shiva speaking. On the banks of the Ranita River is a large town of the name Megankara, in which is the famous temple of Jagat Ishvara. Jagat Ishvara is holding in his hand a bow, and in that town of Megankara, there was a pure Brahmana of the name Sunand, who remained a brahmachari his whole life. Sunand would sit in front of the Lord Jagat Ishvara and recite the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and remember the universal form of the Lord. By reciting that 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he gained complete control over his senses and was able to remember Lord Jagat Ishvara continuously. Once that pure Brahmana, Sunand, went on a tour of the holy places on the banks of the Godavari River. He visited all the sacred places, starting with Viraj Tirtha. In all the holy places he visited, he bathed and took darshan of the presiding deity. One day he reached the town of Vivaha Mandap. Along with his associates, he searched for a place to stay, and eventually in the middle of that town, they found a dharmshala, where they all took rest for the night. When Sunand woke up in the morning, he found that all his associates had left. While searching for them, he met the headman of the town, who immediately fell at his feet and said, "O great sage, I cannot say where your associates have gone, but I can tell you that there is no devotee equal to you. I have never seen anyone as pure as you. Oh, my dear Brahmana, I am begging you to stay in this town." When Sunand heard this humble request of the headman of the town, he decided to stay for some days. That headman made every arrangement for the comfortable stay of Sunand and engaged in his service day and night. After 8 days had passed, one villager came before Sunand crying very loudly and said, "O pure Brahmana, last night one Rakshasa ate my son." Sunand replied, "Where does that Rakshasa stay, and how did he eat your son?" The villager replied, "In this town one very frightful Rakshasa lives, and every day was eating villagers as and when he pleased. One day we all went to that Rakshasa and requested him to protect us." It sounds like a similar story with Bhima, isn't it? Sounds similar. Yeah. I think it's a different story though. Let's read on. And requested him to protect us, in return for which we would provide him with his daily food. One dharmshala was built, and any travelers who came here were sent there to stay. And while they were sleeping, the Rakshasa would eat them. Okay, so that's what happened to his friends, okay, it seems. In this way, we have been able to protect ourselves from this Rakshasa. You, along with your associates, stayed at that dharmshala, but that Rakshasa did not eat you along with everyone else. The reason I will tell you. Last night, a friend of my son came, but I did not realize that he was a very close and dear friend of my son. So I sent him to stay in the dharmshala. Later, when my son found out, he went after him to try and bring him back from the dharmshala. But when he went there, he was also eaten by that Rakshasa. Today in the morning, I went to that Rakshasa and asked him, why had he eaten my son along with other travelers? I also requested him if there was any way I could get back my son. The Rakshasa told me, I did not know that your son had also entered the Dharmshala. Thus he was eaten with everyone else. As far as getting him back, that will be possible when I'm freed from this Rakshasa body, which will be possible by the mercy of a person who recites the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita daily. Right now, there is one Brahmana staying in this town who had stayed at this Dharmshala, but I had not eaten him, because he daily recites the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. If he daily recites the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita 7 times, then sprinkles water on me, then I will be able to get free from the curse of this Rakshasa body. So Nand inquired from that villager, what sin did this person perform to attain a Rakshasa body? The villager replied, long ago, there had been a farmer living in this town. One day he was guarding the fields when, just a little distance away from him, one large vulture attacked a person who was traveling on the road. At that time, one yogi was passing by, and when he saw that person being attacked by that vulture, he came running to his aid, but when he reached him, it was too late. Then that yogi became very angry with the farmer and spoke to him as follows. One who sees others in danger from thieves, snakes, fire, attacked by weapons, etc., and even though he is capable of helping them, but does not come to help, is punished by Yamaraj. After suffering in hell for a very long time, he takes birth as a wolf. And one who helps someone in need of help certainly pleases Lord Vishnu. One who attempts to save a cow from the hands of a ferocious animal, a low-class man or a wicked ruler, attains Lord Vishnu. Wicked farmer, you saw that vulture attacking that person, but still you made no attempt to save him. Now I curse you to take birth as a Rakshasa. The farmer said, I was watching the fields for the whole night and I am very tired, so kindly be merciful to me, O gentle one. The yogi replied, when someone who is daily reciting the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita sprinkled water on your head, then you will become free from this curse. Just last 3 paragraphs. The villagers said, my dear Sunand, with your hand, kindly sprinkle water on the head of this Rakshasa. After hearing that history from the villager, Sunand went along with him to the place where the Rakshasa was staying. While he was reciting the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, sprinkled water on his head. That Rakshasa immediately attained a 4-armed form like that of Lord Vishnu. Not only he, but all the thousands of persons he had eaten also attained a 4-armed form like that of Lord Vishnu. And they all sat down in the flower airplane, which had been sent to take them all to Vaikuntha. Seeing those amazing events, the villager inquired from the Rakshasa which one was his son. The Rakshasa started to laugh and pointed at one of those thousands of beautiful persons sitting in a transcendental airplane and replied, that is your son. The villager requested his son to come home with him. Hearing his father's request, the son, smiling, replied, my dear sir, many times you have been my son and I yours, but now by the grace of this great pure devotee, Sunand, I have been released from this wheel of birth and death, and now I am going to my real home, Vaikuntha. Dear sir, kindly surrender unto the lotus feet of Sunand and hear from him the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and you will also be able to obtain the abode of Lord Vishnu, Vaikuntha. Of this there is no doubt. From Lord Krishna's mouth, these nectarian instructions came on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in reply to the questions of his friend Arjuna. And only by reciting this discourse can one break the tight knot which is binding us to this wheel of birth and death. Lord Shiva said, after speaking these words full of wisdom to his father, along with all those fortunate souls, he went to Vaikuntha, and his father learned the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita from Sunand, and very soon also went to Vaikuntha. My dear Parvati, you have heard the glories of the 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is capable of destroying all sinful reactions. Okay. Hari Om Tat Sat.
That was amazing. That was really nice, Murli Prabhu.
quite exciting. We're going to start 11th chapter tomorrow. Is Krishna Priya knows the whole 11th chapter. You know right, Krishna Priya?
Yeah, who comes in the
Asking-
morning, Mangalarti. He
Yeah, he
comes.
knows. And when he goes to hospitals, when people in the world, he recites the 11th chapter. So it's special stuff. Okay, so exciting, huh? All right, so please join us tomorrow then. And we shall start the 11th chapter, the Vishwarupa Darshan, the universal form. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us on this Ekadashi day. What a better thing can we do on Ekadashi? Like get together and read Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Okay.
Thank you.
Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Ram, Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna.
Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare